Kelly Grace, address is 27 Vale Court, Galloway, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you folks for amazing job that you always do. I love to give appreciation to you for what your time and your abilities and what you do. It's amazing. With that said, I do have a question. Looking at the agenda, can I say that I wish it was a little easier on your site because I was flipping back and forth when you state some of the NJAC or NJ.
I'm sorry, we're very fine, hard to hear you. If
Oh,
you could
I'm
hold
sorry.
it. Much better, thank you.
When I read some of the policies and you refer back to like a NJSA format where the rest of it is, it's difficult, and it's a lot more, and I went to the site and was looking at it, so it's pretty broad. It's not as easy, so maybe sometime in the future, if I can get the information maybe a little sooner rather than, I don't know when you post it on Fridays, and if somebody they're unaware of it, and they have the weekend tied up, then all they have is maybe a half a day because they work, like I do.
It's posted every Friday before the board meetings, is that correct? Every Friday at 4 o'clock
At
before
4
the Monday
p.m.,
board
right.
meeting.
So it really gives some, I understand you have the weekend, but anyway, it would be nice to have a little more time if that's something I can interject. I was reading on the 2210 curriculum development, and it talks about the educational leader of the district, the superintendent, shall be responsible to the board for development of curriculum, and it goes down to say effective participation of teachers, staff, members, students, the community, and members of the board. What I failed to see was parents or families, because that's what's part of your board values and mission statement. And I thought, with what we're going through, with parents being left out of some decision-making and all, I didn't know if that was a typo, leaving parents or families out of that section. Do you know?
I don't believe it is, but we can, if your information is listed there, we will have either the board secretary or Mr. Santilli get back with you just to confirm.
Right. Well, you know why I'm asking, the importance of including the parent or the families. So I had to make mention of that. It does state here the superintendent can conduct experimental programs. Can I ask, is there anything that's slated anytime soon? And how do you let parents know what is an experimental? And is that something that's, would it be mandatory? Could they opt out? How do you let parents know if they can opt out of something?
So do you have a few more questions, or is that it? Because once we have all the questions,
Yeah, no,
then if we can answer anything, we can answer.
Right. No, that's pretty much it. That and how would you go about informing parents of these policies, all the ones that you're voting on tonight? How do you let them know the hot topics or whatever they may take, as you know which ones they're going to maybe buck against and say, hey, I don't want my kid part of this, or how am I going to know when it's up? Are you going to let parents know that they have the option of opting out of any of these that are implemented?
So, for example, I'm just going to go to your first question first. When you talked about parents and family members, that's typically the way these policies are written when it talks about community. That's typically what it's referring to, is the Galloway Township community, which would include parents, family members, people outside of the employment of the school district. So that's where that community is. It's just a broader way to say that. So you're taking in all different types of perspectives.
Okay. I mean, I was only referring back to the mission statement, how you separated that out. You said community, and then you said families. So I had to I had to base it off of that, because that's part of your mission statement. But then when I saw that it was not here, I thought, knowing how parents are being left out of the 5756, is this another type of thing that parents are being left out of? That's really where I was going with it.
And then to answer your second question, Sometimes, for example, the district approves standard curriculum, like a reading series or a science series. And sometimes when you're looking for a new series, maybe they want to look for a new reading series or a new reading perspective, a reading type of book or curriculum, what they'll do is say, okay, we will pilot a program to see if we like this reading series better than the one we're doing. And that would be brought to the board, the cost would be brought to the board, and it would be trial. So it's not your official curriculum for reading, but it would be brought to the attention of the board. And typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Santilli, when that happens, parents are notified that you're in a different curriculum for that particular year, and they have the opportunity, just like any parent would, to talk to the teacher about what that new curriculum would look like, and the fact that it's a pilot curriculum.
Okay, all right. Well, opting out, though, I didn't get an answer for that. How do you plan to inform parents of things that you know would be maybe a hot button topic that you would, have the students doing, but you give them an option to opt their child out?
So anytime the law allows parents to opt out of something, we have specific procedures we provide notification to parents, we provide them letters, we provide them information so parents understand what their options are for that, so they get direct notification.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there any other public comment this evening? Seeing none, we will be moving on to the superintendent's report, please. And I'm sorry, continuing with the attorney's report.
So I've had an opportunity to work with the district on a variety of different matters since the last time we talked, including some employee matters, student matters, and contractual matters. And happy summer.
Thank you. Is there any board questions for our attorney? Seeing none, we can move on. Mr. Santilli.
Item 4.2 is listed as the student enrollment report as attached. No vote is needed. It's just for informational purposes.
And moving on to curriculum and instruction, please.
So for curriculum instruction, we have a variety of field trips, most of which this time of the year are for our summer camp at this time. As attached, field work is attached, but items number 5.1 and 5.4 as listed and attached, we'd be looking for approval under curriculum and instruction.
Thank you. So can I have a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.4 under curriculum and instruction?
So moved. Second.
Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Chester?
Yes.
Ms. Larrea? Yes. Mrs. Avery? Yes. Mr. Dace?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Hermanow?
Yes.
Vice President Bashara Blount?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes. Moving on to finance, was there a finance committee meeting this evening?
Yes, the Finance Committee met prior to the board meeting this evening. We had a review of the supplemental bills list and financial reports, and then we also received an update on the GTMS chiller and cooling tower, which, as everyone should see, is on the agenda for approval for tonight. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Dr. Bashara Blount? Seeing none, Ms. Nixon, we can move on with finance, please.
Thank you. Items 6.2 through 6.16 are up for your approval.
Can I motion to approve items 6.2 through 6.10, please? I'm sorry. My computer just froze. 6.2 through 6.16, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Chester?
Yes.
Ms. Larrea? Yes. Mrs. Avery? Mr. Dace?
On the bills list, I must abstain. On page 11, PO number 402122. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Hermanow?
Yes.
Vice President Bashara Blount?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes. Moving on to facilities, was there a facilities meeting this evening?
Yes, there was. We went over the chillers tonight, and everything is going well. It's going to take like 29 weeks, I believe, possibly 29 weeks to get the new chiller and everything in.
Wow.
And then they'll start installing right away, but we are good to go until that time with the temporary ones we have.
Interesting. Is there any questions for Mr. Days? Okay, moving on with facilities, please.
Thank you. Items 7.2 through 7.6 are up for your approval.
Can I have a motion to approve items 7.2 through 7.6 under facilities?
So moved. Second.
Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Chester?
Yes.
Ms. Larrea? Mrs. Avery? Mr. Dace?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Harmon?
Yes.
Vice President Bashara Blount?
Yes.
And President Carmen.
Yes. Moving on to personnel, Mr. Santilli, please.
So under personnel, we'd be looking to have approval for items 8.1 through 8.6 as listed and attached.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 8.1 through 8.6?
So moved. Second.
Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Chester?
Abstain from HR appointments, line number 11. Everything else, yes.
Ms. Larrea? Mrs. Avery? Mr. Dace?
Yes.
Please.
Mrs. Chester?
Yes.
Ms. Larrea? Mrs. Avery? Mr. Dace?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Hermanow?
Yes.
Vice President Bashara Blount?
Yes.
And President Carmen.
Yes. Moving on to informational items, please.
Under 11.1, we have our new board calendar. Under 11.2, we have special events as listed, and I'd like to encourage the board and the public to help support our GTMS. Once a time players are going to be presenting Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Christmas in July, think of it like that, on July 25th and 26th. Summer's Pop Concert is on August 7th, and then, of course, two very important Education Foundation events, the annual golf outing on September 19th, and then, of course, Designer Purse Bingo here at GTMS on October 18th. Again, please do your best to support, especially our Education Foundation events, as they are critical to helping offset initiatives for our students and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we'll open up the meeting for public comment on any item. Is there any public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will ask for comments around the board. Mrs. Chester, do you have anything this evening?
I don't. Just happy summer.
You as well. Mrs. Larrea?
Green. Yes, thank you for all of us being here and approving a lot of things. The only thing that I was concerned about was some of the policy, because we weren't here. And so I've been, trying to see what is good for the kids. My daughter's a teacher, and so she's concerned about policies all over. So we're just concerned for the children. But anyway, I'm very happy to be on the board, and I'm glad to be here.
And on the policy committee?
Thank you.
Mrs. Avery?
Looking forward to putting out teacher grants with Mr. Santilli in the fall. I think we gave out about, the Ed Foundation, awarded about $15,000 in teacher grants last year. We plan on doing that again in September, and every little bit helps teachers with some extra stuff that they could do that they can't do normally in a classroom setting because we can't do it. It's not that we don't want to do it, but we financially cannot do it. So that'll be up and coming this fall, and I look forward to your support with the golf tournament and the designer bingo.
Thank you. Mr. Days?
All I can say is I hope to be able to attend Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in July, probably both shows, and probably the band concert also. And one question about the Ed Foundation Golf Tournament. Is there a luncheon or dinner open to the public? There have been in the past.
It's not open, there is a lunch. There is a food time.
All right,
I'll let
Yeah, because I used to attend as often as possible.
I think in the past, you could buy a ticket just for
Yeah.
the luncheon or just.
We
for
might,
dinner.
we'll revisit that again. We have a meeting coming up.
Yeah, let me know,
And a
because
lot
I
of
like to
board
attend
members
it
would do
also.
Okay. You
And
can
also,
pick me
I'd
up. Thanks, Rich.
like to wish everyone, hope you enjoy this weather. Believe that, and I'll tell you another one. And the Phillies don't play tonight, they play tomorrow night, and let's go Phillies, I hope. One person, okay. All right, better than none. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gentile.
First off, welcome to the new hires. Hope you enjoy your tenure here at Galloway. It's a good district, and we all look forward to working with you. I feel it's incumbent upon me to perhaps underscore what we do as a board with regard to the transaction of business, and this is not directed to anybody in particular. I understand they all work very hard. I understand that we all come to this position with our various interests, sometimes our various passions, sometimes strike that perspectives that very well may differ and are passionately held, perspectives that whether they're passionately held or not are valid perspectives, because all of our perspectives are valid. And the genius of school boards is to have local folks address issues in schools. That being said, districts also are supposed to be nonpartisan, and I think we do a good job of not being that. But we also operate under Robert's Rules of Order. And we do that for 2, 3, 4, actually infinite reasons. One, the members of the public are here to listen to what we're talking about. And if we're talking over each other and are perceived not to be listening to each other, that calls into question the validity of the board and any actions that it takes. I would suggest to us all, it's not to direct to anybody, but when somebody is speaking, the other person holds off. As a litigator, I know that's incredibly difficult to do, but I assure you, it gives the person who's speaking an opportunity to get the full thought out so that the response that is made is to that full thought. We're also here to respect each other, and also, as Dr. Giaquinto used to say, the kids are watching. And if children are watching a school board engage in cutting each other off or acting in ways that are, if you will, not professional or not persistent with the rules, which is really what I'm going for, because we tell the kids, live by the rules. If we're not going to live by the rules, what example are we setting? So again, this is not directed to anybody. And believe me, I understand passion in a process where you are putting forth ideas that you hold strongly. I also strongly believe that everybody's viewpoint is entitled to a full hearing out with regard to it. I also acknowledge there is a substantial learning curve on the board to see how things work. And I remember, in fact, it was Mr. Days, I think my first year on the board, when we were renewing contracts in April, and I was asking why we're doing that when the fiscal year starts in July. He kindly, and on the record, smacked me down and said, no, idiot. Not quite that way. But I had it wrong. And he handled that in a way that was gracious, and he handled that in a way that let me save face. And I respect that, and obviously I remember that. So I just caution us all. Most importantly, we are here for many things. One of the most important things is the business of the district. And our insights are here to inform the business of the district. Our insights may be accepted, they may be rejected, they may be modified to affect the business that the district goes into. But as members of the board, it's our responsibility to accept the rejection of our ideas, the modification of our ideas, or the acceptance of our ideas with grace, because that's what we expect our kids to do. That's what we expect the members of the public to do when they come up here and speak. So I would just urge us all to remember that constantly. And it's a battle. It's a battle. It's a battle. And again, this is said with the respect that I intend. I respect everybody on this board. I respect the amount of time that it takes. But I think our culture is such, and school boards are such of late, that it's real easy to sort of get sucked into what everybody expects them to be. And we're better than this. We're here for the kids. We're here for the running of the business of the district. We're here to respect each other. And we do respect each other. We really do. So again, not directed to anybody, just a cautionary comment that, this in $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee. But I just wanted to call that to everybody's attention. Thank you. Voila.
Thank you. Mrs. Hermano.
First, I'd like to thank everybody and also congratulate all the new hires. And I would like to say, yes, I know I'm a little passionate, and I apologize if I did overspeak Belinda. And thank you, Mr. Gentili, for speaking so wisely, as you always do. But I would like to just add, I think the world has gotten so complex, and we talk about the children a lot. Mr. Gentili just talked about what we do is important, and it absolutely is. And it's good to have a good demeanor and speak well, but it's also good to pay attention to what's happening in your schools by reading your policies. And as I was told, I haven't read mine. So I would say to you this, normality is a dangerous thing when you just allow things to continuously go on and not look and see underneath the rock what's really lying there. There's a lot of information out there. I would ask you to look into it, the public, especially for your children. And if you do have whatever values you have, it's important because the state should not be teaching your children, you should be. So that, and teachers and parents, and we all have rights. And everybody on the school board, I do respect, and I like them very much, whether they believe it or not. But we're all here doing a free work because we care about the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bashir-Blau.
So just echoing, welcome to all of the new hires. I also want to just commend the district for, I believe, going on their 3rd week of summer camp. My son has been participating, and it's just a phenomenal job that everyone has done with this camp. He is coming home excited, he is learning, he's having fun. So kudos to everyone involved for putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have executive session this evening, so can I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So therefore be it resolved that the Galway Township Board of Education shall meet in executive session on July 8th, 2024, immediately for the purpose of discussing personnel for approximately 20 minutes. Further resolved that the discussion of each subject matter in executive session will be disclosed to the public when the matter has been settled unless such is otherwise prohibited by law. Thank you.